Hello, y'all. Welcome to Wandering Words, and today we're going to be speaking about Wake Up Dead Man.
You're the only one on stage with the Monsignor at the time of his killing. And you're the only one at that church who hated his guts.
The spirit really moved him today, huh?
So tell me, what the hell happened?
By Rian Johnson. This is a Knives Out mystery, the third installment to the Knives Out series, and I believe he did a great job with this movie. I wasn't a fan of Glass Onion. Knives Out was a big fan of that one, and I believe this one outranks the second one because there was only two before this, so this one outranks the second one. And I believe for me right now it's Knives Out, this one, and then Glass Onion. So let's go into the overview. The overview is pretty much a young preacher is trying to spread the word in a positive light, positive manner, but then he puts himself in a situation to where he's underneath the priest that is not doing things how it's supposed to be done. He lives more in the older ways of teaching and just fire and brimstone attacking. You're doing this wrong. You're not gonna be what you want to be. And just blaming themselves for everything that's wrong in their lives, right? And nothing that he does is wrong. And that's the viewpoint of Josh Brolin's character, right? So you have the fire and brimstone, and then you have the young preacher who is moving in the correct way of accepting people, being patient for when that time comes for them to change who they want to be for the better. And I believe this movie does a great job of distincting those two types of religious leaders in the church. And so there is the other preacher who's the fire and brimstone. He's leading these groups of people, these town folk that all have a piece of the puzzle, right? And he has these things that he's going to use against them. And this group looks pretty suspicious in the way that he is trying to expose each and every one of them. Now, in my opinion, I believe two of them didn't have a strong reasoning as to why they would be doing it. And so that kind of gave the, okay, it's probably one of these 2-3 people, right? And so that for me gave it away. I wouldn't say instantly, but it definitely had my head looking at one or two other people in the room. And so back to the overview, and it has a really good theme of free will and doing the right thing, more so towards the end. And I just love the also recurring theme of purpose and putting on a purpose and you being put on this earth to do something, right? And the calling for the main character is to be a priest, to guide people to Christ and doing it in the correct manner. So now that the overview is done, we're going to get into what worked for me. I'm not going to lie, most of the movie worked for me. I want to go into the camera work. The camera work was amazing. I love the zoom in and outs that Rian Johnson flawlessly instills into the movie. More towards the end, he has some other camera work that gives you like a panoramic view and just flows everything together with a sense of urgency, which was really fun to see. I also like the characterization of each person, right? He characterized it in a way that gave you a really solid amount of information, but not bloating each and every character and overdoing the information that we get. And then by the time we move to the next person, we're already kind of over whatever the last person was going through or whatever the last person had going on. And so I thought that was pretty well done. Also with Judd's goal and backstory, the way that they gave him a really nice, I wouldn't say nice backstory, but a painful and like a oh snap, that's a really good reason to walk in a better light. It was a really great backstory. And then the way that he goes about, trying to spread the word. And I love his performance, the way he delivers his dialogue and carries himself throughout the movie. It was very engaging, so he was definitely the highlight, the star of the film. I loved Josh O'Connor in this movie. Or segueing into the dialogue and his line delivery, I believe the writing was done very well too. And just a lot of the plot points at the end covered made sense, you know. Except for one thing I was like, I don't think that character would be able to do that, but let's suspend some belief. This is Knives Out. And so in that sense, you can really get too upset. And so back to the earlier point that I brought up of you kind of know who it is if you watch a lot of whodunit movies or could have figured it out early. Even though you knew who it was early, I believe they put a lot of plot points in here to where you could have been thrown off a little bit. And just, it was really engaging for the most part. And even if I knew, I was still on board with the story and where it was going to. Now, some of the, I wouldn't say negatives, but just like some things that people may not like, I would say the comedy overshadowed. But if you watch Knives Out, if you watch Glass Onion, you know the comedy is a big part. I wouldn't say a big part, but a good chunk of the movie. And so I believe the comedy was done great, the quick wit and just some of the quick moments that were pretty hilarious to me. And I wouldn't necessarily put this in a negative, but I could see some people being like, oh, this is a mystery, like I want it to be more serious. I could see that being a negative. And like I said earlier, the only other negative I could really come up with was the logical explanation of one character doing something, and it was just like, I don't think so. But if you have a chance to go check this movie out, go check it out in theaters. If not, please watch it on Netflix. It's a great movie. I'm gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10. I'm a sucker for whodunit movies, plot twist movies, Tenet, Usual Suspects, all that. I went into a deep rabbit hole of just like whodunit the last year especially, and just love that type of love, and I just love those type of movies. So if you like this video, leave a comment and subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Peace.